The ambush worked perfectly. That was the first mistake. Strike Commander Vorath of the Dravani Ascendancy had planned the engagement for 11 weeks. Every detail calibrated. The human convoy, 4 freighters, 2 escort frigates, 1 aging destroyer, would transit the Palax corridor at 1400 galactic standard. His 12 cruisers would decloak in a crescent formation, concentrate fire on the destroyer first, then the frigates, then pick the freighters apart at leisure. At 1406, the destroyer UAN Blackridge took 9 direct hits to her port quarter. Her engines stuttered. Her shields collapsed in a cascade that Vorath's sensors painted in satisfying red. Both frigates, the Kestrel and the Dunmore, loss of main power within 90 seconds. The freighters scattered like wounded animals. Vorath opened a channel to his fleet. Mop-up. Standard recovery timeline, 2 hours. 6 hours later, he would file the most humiliating after-action report in Dravani military history. The first sign came at minute 11. The Blackridge, dead in space, venting atmosphere from 3 hull breaches, began sealing those breaches, not from the inside. Vorath's crews understood internal patch protocol. From the outside, 3 figures in emergency suits moving across the hull in hard vacuum, manually welding composite plates over holes that should have killed the ship. His tactical officer noted they were working in sequence, not simultaneously, each one covering the next, rotating through positions like they'd rehearsed this specific catastrophe. They had. Every human crew had. It was called damage control, and humans had been practicing it since they'd sailed wooden ships across oceans they couldn't see the bottom of. By minute 34, the Blackridge had sealed all 3 breaches and rerouted her reactor output through a secondary bus that Vorath's intelligence files said didn't exist. It existed. It was listed in the ship's manual under emergency power architecture, loss of primary and secondary mains. There was a 3rd layer. There was always a 3rd layer. Her weapons came back online at minute 41. Not all of them. 4-point defense batteries and 1 forward kinetic battery. Perhaps 30% of her combat capability. Vorath was unconcerned. 30% of a dead ship was still a dead ship. Then the Kestrel fired. The frigate had been tumbling since the ambush, all power dark, her crew presumably struggling to survive. She had been struggling to survive, and simultaneously her chief engineer, a woman named Colleen Arnett, had been ripping conduit out of the crew mess ceiling to bypass a severed power trunk on deck 4. The bypass gave her exactly 1 firing solution through a narrow window before the tumble carried her guns past the target. She took it. The shot punctured the engine housing of Vorath's nearest cruiser and turned its rear quarter into shrapnel. Vorath redeployed 2 ships to finish the Kestrel. This meant 2 ships were no longer chasing the freighters. That was what Arnett had purchased with 1 shot. By hour 2, Vorath's clean operation had become something else entirely. The Blackridge was moving under her own power, slowly, unevenly, dragging a shattered engine nacelle behind her like a broken limb. She wasn't running, she was repositioning. Her captain, a man named Reed Sutton, was placing his crippled ship between Vorath's cruisers and the freighter Gallatin, which carried 3,200 colonists in its hold. Sutton knew the Blackridge couldn't win this fight. He wasn't trying to win. He was trying to make each hour cost Vorath more than the last, and he was spending his ship like currency, trading hull integrity for time, trading systems for position, trading everything that could be traded for the one thing that mattered. The Dunmore came back at hour 3. She'd been playing dead, actually dead for the first 40 minutes, then deliberately dead after her crew restored partial helm control and decided that being a corpse was more useful than being a target. When she fired, she targeted communications arrays, not weapons, not engines, communications. Vorath lost contact with his outer picket ships for 19 minutes. In those 19 minutes, the freighter Gallatin crossed into the sensor shadow of the Palax corridor's outer ring and disappeared. Vorath stared at the tactical display. His 12 cruisers, undamaged, fully armed, overwhelming in every measurable metric, were chasing 3 broken human ships that refused to stop functioning. Every system the humans lost, they replaced with something improvised. Every weapon that went down revealed another one behind it. Every hull breach was sealed by someone in a suit, who had trained for exactly this moment. At hour 5, the Kestrel lost her last engine. Arnett rerouted thruster fuel through the maneuvering jets and kept the ship spinning, not flying, spinning, using the rotation to cycle her one remaining gun through a firing arc that covered a 90-degree sweep every 4 seconds. It was absurd. It was also effective. 2 more of Vorath's cruisers took hits they shouldn't have taken from a ship that shouldn't have been able to fire. At hour 6, a UAN battlecruiser dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the corridor's edge. Then 2 more. Then a carrier group. The Gallatin's distress signal had reached Fleet Command 4 hours ago. The convoy had held for 4 hours after everything had gone wrong. That was 2 hours longer than doctrine required. Vorath's fleet withdrew. Captain Sutton's after-action report was 4 pages long. The last line read, "All convoy assets accounted for. Freighter Gallatin delivered to destination. Crew losses, 7 killed, 41 wounded. Recommend commendation for Chief Engineer Arnett, UEN Kestrel, for creative application of damage control procedures under sustained enemy fire." Creative application. She'd rebuilt a warship from the inside out while people were shooting at her, and the official report called it a creative application. The Dravani Ascendancy's intelligence division spent 3 months studying the engagement. Their final analysis contained a single recommendation, stamped across every copy in red: do not engage human convoys unless total destruction can be achieved in the first 60 seconds. After 60 seconds, human damage control doctrine activates. After that, the engagement belongs to them. 60 seconds. That's all the window they gave themselves, because Dravani tacticians understood something that Vorath had learned the hard way. The ambush was the easy part. The humans had built their entire doctrine around what comes after. They trained for the hit. They planned for the damage. They practiced for the moment when everything was broken and on fire and venting into space. That was where humans started. Follow Sci-Fi Shorts for more original sci-fi short stories, HFY, space opera, and life between the stars.